In the small room, the fluorescent light is anemic, like it's filtered through dirty water. It shows only what it wants to show, so details, the corners, beneath the table, the grooves in the men's faces, are not so much in shadow as they are not worth the bother. The boy, he doesn't think of himself as a boy, but everyone else in the room does, sits crumpled like a discarded pop can, almost completely still, except when he's smearing tears across his face with his wrist. The men stare, and to the boy, it's like being underwater, the weight, the pressure of their attention pushing down, smothering. But they're looking at him, and they're each seeing something else. The one, younger, carefully unshaven, a blocky handgun on his belt, sees twisted, smoldering bodies, black and red, steaming wistfully in the gentle rain. He sees a kind of mute and stupid hope, in the eyes of parents looking at these charnel things, exposed and barren on stainless steel tables in a basement room. He sees himself, aiming his unflinching pistol at somebody, maybe the boy, maybe someone else, anyone who could be responsible. The other, grizzled and tired and square-faced, sees a girl, his daughter, riding in cars with boys he barely knows. He sees her mother, sees himself telling her their baby is dead, wondering how this woman he's known for 20 years would handle news like the news he delivered today. He sees his old partner who shot himself over a case like this. And so the boy sits, alone, in the small room, in spite of the men and the people in the hallway and his parents on the other side of the one-sided mirror. Someone asks a question and it lingers, suffocating in the silence. Finally, the boy speaks. I remember a pinball machine, you know? Don't rush me. It's weird. I mean, there was tons of crazy stuff there in the dump, and I remember a pinball machine. Not even a good one. Art was terrible, layout was boring, and the playfield glass was cracked. Someone took a bat to it or something. I said it was probably some goon there to collect, being tough, and everyone laughed because I said goon. And that was it. On to the next piece of trash. I mean, that's why we were there. We just walked around and laughed about stuff we found. We tell stories about the people who owned them, who bought them, who threw them away. It wasn't the first time. We did it all the time. Memory's weird, you know? I see Jeremy holding something. He's waving it around, talking really loud. Amber says something to him and he grins, and there's basil in his teeth from dinner. I remember that there was basil in his teeth. I remember Amber's joke and the girls laughing, but I can't remember what he's actually holding or what we're laughing about. Isn't that weird? But I remember a pinball machine that we never even looked at. I mean, I looked at it. And then later I don't even like pinball. You think I know a lot about it for someone who doesn't like it. Well, thank my brother. He loves the old games, you know, the Nickelcade. Spent most of his junior high there. So, you know, I had to love him too. If I'm gonna keep up, if I'm gonna get him to pay attention to me, I know more about pinball than the people who make it. So yeah, you'd think I love it, but I don't. I don't know why. No, that's a lie. I know exactly why. It's because when we were younger, we played all the time. I mean, I watched him play all the time. I still remember the way he stood, the way he moved, the way he sang that old song. You know the one. I bet you're singing it right now. But then, you know, he got older. He got friends. I mean, friends. The kind you get when you're pushing out on your own, when your little brother is like a tumor or something, somebody that's a part of you, but that you'd rather not think about or have. See a squirt, he'd say, then he'd swagger across the grass to the street, leaving me behind. I hate being left behind. I never understood then. Not sure I do now. I mean, what did I do? We were best friends. I thought we were best friends. And then he hit puberty and I'm left sitting on the couch, watching Netflix or something, alone. It's stupid, I know. I mean stupid kid stuff. But I remember standing there on our front porch, watching him leave, and feeling like the last person on earth, marooned, alone. Like, what was I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? This is stupid. You asked me what I remember, and I'm telling you about my brother, and about that stupid pinball machine. It was a space one, a Star Wars ripoff, blue. The blue ones are always space. I don't know. I don't even look at it that carefully. Just at the end when I was looking for a place to hide. Look, I get it. You want to know what I was hiding from. You want to know what happened to my friends. You don't care about pinball or my brother. I get it. It's just, okay. The thing with the pinball machine is, well, it left me. No, not the pinball machine. It came and it took them. Jeremy, Allison, Amber, it took them and it left me. It left me huddling there in the trash with the stink. That stink. I'm gonna have to burn my clothes, you know? Or my mom will have to do it. I couldn't. Not after. Okay, you want it? Well, here it is. Yeah, we were there. We broke into the dump. What's a teenager supposed to do around here? Go to a movie? Oh, go to a movie. So we climbed the fence. I used my jacket on the wire, you know? Allie kissed me for it. Kissed me like I was some kind of saint. And you know what I did? I looked down her shirt when she climbed down. She was wearing this loose V-neck, gave me a perfect shot. They were nice, you know? She had on this white bra that sort of glowed against her tan. I mean, seriously, in 10 minutes she's gonna be dead, a pile of ash, and I'm balancing there with the light, trying to get just the right angle. Amber called me a pervert as she climbed over, but she was grinning when she said it. We've been friends forever, you know, since second grade, and now she's... I said I'd try to look at hers too if she had any, and she gave me this look. I tried to laugh it off, but she was really quiet the rest of the way down. I don't think she said anything else to me the whole night. I mean, I was joking, you know? I was joking, and it was the last thing I ever said to her. Do you think I killed them? I didn't kill them. They were my best friends. They were my best friends. Allie and I have been together for more than a year, and Jeremy's been my best friend since middle school. We're always together, even at night. We're texting and sneaking out. Why would I kill them? How would I kill them? How could I do that? You're asking me, but I don't know what to say. You won't believe. I don't know how to tell you what you want to know. I'm trying to tell you what you want to know. We just messed around, you know? Like I said, we split up for a while, messed around, but then we made a game of picking up pieces of junk we put in people's lockers or people's houses. Just fun, you know? A game. And then it got weird. Not the game. Amber noticed it first. Said it was like someone was messing with the contrast in Photoshop. The colors started, everything started to look brighter, more colorful. Like the pigment in our skin or the garbage or the dirt had woken up or something. Like the photons from the moon and the streetlights and our flashlights were waking up. Allie thought it had something to do with the dump, a chemical, you know, some kind of reaction. We all got a little paranoid. It was getting worse, and Amber said she wanted to go home, but then Jeremy said he was feeling hot, like he had a fever. He said he needed to sit down, and then he just sort of collapsed. I rushed in to see if he was okay. I thought I would have to fight the girls to get to him, but they were just standing there, panting and sweating. The color thing was out of control, like it was trying to break out of them. Allie fell to her knees crying and whimpering that she was so hot, so hot. And then we saw it. A thing. A man. I don't know. It looked like a man, but it was completely black and white, like no color. And I got this idea that he was forcing his color onto the world around him. Like somehow he was the reason everything looked so weird. I don't know why. How could I know why? But when Allie grabbed my leg, gasping and sobbing, for the first time I realized I wasn't hot at all. I was fine. Amber collapsed then. Her head bounced against the gravel. I was trying to help Allie, trying to get her to stand up to run, but she was really burning up and I couldn't hold on. The thing was getting closer and there was this aura. I don't know how to describe it, like a lens or something all around him. Everything close to him was on fire, like the colors had finally exploded into this white burning flame. But in his wake, there was nothing, no fire, no burning, just the junkyard, like the fire had been a dream. It was like his very presence was a revelation, like he was showing us something, or showing me something. Allie was curled at my feet, mewling. It was almost on us and I panicked. I ran. I left them, throwing myself beneath the pinball machine in some ridiculous attempt to hide. And then they They started screaming. It stopped next to Allie and its fire took them. They just screamed and they wriggled and I just huddled there and watched. Somehow, I knew that when the thing moved on, when it came from me, they'd be dead. For them, the fire was no illusion, not like it was for everything else. I watched them burn. I smelled them burn. And the whole time, it just looked at me. Like there was something that we shared. Some secret only we knew. I shouted at it. I threw pieces of junk at it, but it just smiled. And when it was over, when it was over, he came to me. He looked at me like he knew me, like we were friends. The pinball machine began to burn. The trash and the dirt, it all burned, but I just sat there, engulfed in white fire I couldn't feel, looking at the piles of ash that had been my friends. And then it was gone. The fire was gone. My friends were dead. It had killed my friends, and it had left me behind. Why had it left me behind? Why had it left me behind? The boy starts to cry. He pounds his fists on the table and shouts the question over and over. The men sit for a while watching him. They look at each other. They rise and leave. The boy puts his head on the table, then sits back, tears and snot bubbling down his face. He looks around the room, settling on the table. He reaches out and pricks his finger on the corner where the metal stripping is pulled away some. Then, without warning, he savagely rakes his wrists across the exposed edge. His flesh tears away, but when he pulls his arm up, there's no blood. Crying out wildly, he tries it again and again, pushing deeper and harder, but still, there's no blood. The men rush in, arms out to stop him, but the boy lunges forward and grabs the gun. Before anyone can respond, he shoves the barrel into his mouth and pulls the trigger. But nothing happens. The gun jams. He pulls the trigger again and again, his screams covering the mechanical sounds of failure. The younger man grabs the gun. The older man grabs the boy and shoves him into the table, reaching for the handcuffs on his belt. There's a kind of vibrance to the color in the boy's hands as the older man reaches in. The open, bloodless wound is bright, somehow defying the desaturated fluorescence of the light. The boy stops fighting for a second, then starts in again with the fury, shouting and wrestling with the older man in the restraints. The younger man staggers a little, saying he feels feverish. Then he slumps against the one-way mirror, then collapses. Suddenly, people are screaming in the room beyond. The older man turns, leaning roughly on the table. He's sweating heavily, groping down for his partner's gun. The boy stumbles to the corner and slides to the floor. He closes his eyes. He hears the older man bellow, hears the gun report 3 times in spite of its apparent malfunction before. He hears screaming and burning, and when he finally opens his eyes, he sees the man there, colorless and robed in white fire. It looks at him like they share a secret, like they're friends. And then it's gone, and the boy is left alone, sobbing between cairns of ash that had once been men. Thank you.